There is an ancient spiritual truth that says, when the universe is about to shift your cosmic destiny, it first breaks your current reality into pieces. If your life feels chaotic, confusing, or deeply isolated right now, you aren't failing. You are being prepared. Most people walk through their entire lives completely blind to the silent, invisible language of the universe. They assume life is just a series of random events. But the legendary spiritual master, Paramahansa Yogananda, revealed that the divine source does not communicate through booming voices from the heavens. Instead, the divine speaks through subtle, highly sophisticated signs whispered directly into the fabric of your daily existence. When the higher consciousness chooses a soul for a profound spiritual awakening, when you are uniquely loved by the source, your life stops looking ordinary. You are systematically unplugged from the matrix of mundane reality and placed onto a sacred path of transformation. Today, we are going to unveil the 6 mystical signs that prove you are being chosen, guided, and deeply protected by the divine source. Pay close attention to how these signs manifest, because the 6th sign has the power to completely alter your perception of reality forever. Before we unlock these mysteries, let's align our collective energy. Take a deep breath and drop a comment below saying, "I am ready to align." Let this be your conscious choice to invite high vibrational energy into your life today. If you seek deep, authentic spiritual wisdom, subscribe to our channel, like this video, and turn on the notification bell. Let us begin the journey. Sign number 1. The influx of constant intense trials. When the divine sets its eyes upon a soul to grant it true spiritual authority, it rarely presents them with a path of unearned comfort. In fact, to the human mind, it often looks like absolute chaos. Paramahansa Yogananda noted that when the Creator loves an individual deeply, he does not hand them an easy life. Instead, he guides them through circumstances that look like immense suffering, intense betrayal, and unending trials. But this is not divine anger. This is divine engineering. Consider the material world. Gold cannot become a flawless, magnificent crown until it passes through the absolute fury of the fire. A diamond cannot radiate its hypnotic brilliance without enduring crushing, unimaginable pressure deep within the bedrock of the earth. In the modern world, we are conditioned to believe that a good life means a life without problems. But ancient spiritual history tells a very different story. Take the timeless historical epic, the Mahabharata. The Pandavas, 5 noble warriors, were the closest companions to the living manifestation of the divine essence, Lord Krishna. Yet their lives were defined by years of forced exile, public humiliation, loss, and catastrophic war. If divine favor meant an easy path, those closest to the divine would have lived in unbothered luxury. But the universe wanted them to stand as eternal symbols of righteousness and strength. If you find yourself surviving one massive storm only to see another cloud forming on the horizon, do not despair. The universe is testing your roots. It is stripping away your reliance on temporary, fragile worldly crutches so that your only immovable foundation becomes the divine itself. Let's take a 10-second pause together. Close your eyes, inhale deeply, hold it, and exhale. As you breathe out, mentally release the weight of your current struggles. Recognize them not as your punishment, but as your preparation. Sign number 2, the experience of profound, inexplicable solitude. There is a vast, multidimensional difference between the agony of being lonely and the majesty of sacred solitude. When the higher consciousness begins to draw you closer, an invisible, energetic wall forms between you and the crowd. Suddenly, you realize that the superficial social circles you cherished for years no longer feel aligned with who you are. The gossip, the shallow small talk, the chase for social validation, and the constant noise of the world begin to feel exhausting, empty, and entirely hollow. You might look around a crowded room of familiar faces and realize, with a sudden quiet pang in your heart, that no one here truly understands the depth of what I am becoming. This realization can be incredibly jarring. It feels like an isolation curse. You ask yourself, why is my circle shrinking? Why am I becoming an outsider in my own life? But spiritual masters explain that this isolation is a sublime blessing. The universe is systematically silencing the external noise so that you can finally hear the whisper of your own soul. As long as you are completely entangled in the opinions, low frequencies, and trends of the crowd, your spiritual senses remain blocked. Every seed must be buried in the complete, undisturbed darkness of the soil, entirely alone, before it can break open its shell and grow into a magnificent, towering tree. Sign number 3. An effortless, automatic aversion to negative actions. Most people spend their entire lives fighting their bad habits, toxic addictions, and negative traits, using nothing but sheer, exhausting willpower. They make resolutions, they struggle, they fail, and they fall right back into the cycle of guilt. But when divine grace actively enters your energetic field, a beautiful miracle occurs. The transformation becomes completely effortless. You don't just force yourself to stop doing negative things. Your soul simply loses all interest in them. You notice a natural, deep-seated aversion developing toward deceit, manipulation, jealousy, anger, and toxic dependencies. If you accidentally snap at someone or engage in petty, low-vibrational behavior, an intense, immediate weight of conscience hits your heart. Your inner moral compass becomes incredibly refined. Paramahansa Yogananda taught that the true battle of evolution is never external. It is fought within the landscape of the mind. Within every individual, two opposing forces operate. One pulls you downward toward base animal instincts, and the other lifts you upward toward divine consciousness. When you are loved by the universe, the upward force gets a massive divine boost. You begin to crave absolute authenticity. You find yourself naturally drawn toward things that nourish your spirit, books that expand your mind, music that calms your nervous system, and environments that feel clean, peaceful, and honest. Let's practice a moment of conscious awareness. Scan your mind right now. Think of one negative habit or toxic attachment you felt slipping away recently. Mentally say to it, "Thank you for the lesson, but I am moving higher." Feel the lightness that follows. Sign number 4. The frequency of infinite synchronicity. Have you ever desperately thought about a question in your mind, only to open a book to a random page, click on a video, or overhear a stranger's conversation that gives you the exact answer moments later? In the West, the great psychologist Carl Jung termed this phenomenon synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that defy logical, physical cause and effect. In the realm of spirituality, we call it the shorthand handwriting of the divine. When the Creator takes your hand, the universe starts leaving a trail of mathematical breadcrumbs for you to follow. You start seeing repeating numbers, experiencing uncanny near misses, where an unexpected delay actually saves you from a terrible situation, or encountering the exact person you needed to meet at the precise moment you were about to give up. We often pray and expect the divine to manifest as a loud, earth-shattering miracle. But more often than not, the divine operates like a silent master director behind the curtains of a grand theater. As the famous saying goes, coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. When these synchronicities accelerate in your life, it is a direct proof that you are moving in perfect alignment with the cosmic current. The universe is flashing a green light on your path, whispering, "We are watching you. You are completely protected. Keep moving forward." Sign number 5. Feeling the suffering of the world within your own heart. The modern world often teaches us to build thick iron walls around our hearts to survive. We are told to mind our own business, focus strictly on our own material success, and numb ourselves to the pain of others. But if the higher consciousness has chosen your heart to be a vessel for its light, those protective walls will naturally crumble. You will develop what can only be described as radical empathy. You see a stranger hurting, and it doesn't just register as a passing thought. It moves something deep inside your chest. You see an animal in pain or read about a tragedy across the world, and your eyes well up with genuine tears. You find yourself able to look past a person's angry, bitter, or toxic exterior and instinctively see the wounded child inside them who is simply crying out for love. This extreme sensitivity is often mislabeled as a psychological weakness by modern society. People might tell you, "You're too emotional, you take things too seriously." But in the eyes of the Creator, an open, deeply compassionate heart is the ultimate luxury. It is the holiest temple. Paramahansa Yogananda taught that the divine cannot flow through a heart that is cold, rigid, and intensely selfish. It requires a soft, malleable heart to act as a clear channel for universal love. When you feel an overwhelming desire to alleviate someone else's suffering, even through a simple smile, a kind word, or a silent prayer, you are no longer just an ordinary human being. You have become an active instrument of the divine on this earth. Sign number 6. A powerful, uncaused attraction toward the absolute truth. And now, we arrive at the final, most definitive sign. A sign that cannot be faked, rationalized, or intellectualized by the ego. A sudden, intense pull toward the spiritual source without any external reason. Most people turn to spirituality out of fear, desperation, or material greed. They pray because they want a financial promotion, they want to clear an immediate debt, or they are terrified of physical suffering. But for the chosen souls, a moment comes when all worldly desires lose their absolute grip on the mind. You might have a stable career, a comfortable home, and money in the bank, yet an unquenchable spiritual thirst awakens deep within your core. You feel a magnetic gravity pulling you toward deep meditation, silent contemplation, and ancient, timeless wisdom. You find yourself looking at the grandest achievements of human society, the skyscrapers, the fame, the endless loop of consumption, and realizing, this is a beautiful illusion, but it is not enough. My soul belongs to something eternal. Paramahansa Yogananda gave an incredible analogy for this. He said that the human soul is like a small child who has been lost in a massive, glittering amusement park for lifetimes. For a while, the child is completely distracted by the rides, the flashing lights, and the candy. But eventually, the exhaustion sets in. The excitement fades. The child stops looking at the toys, bursts into tears, and starts crying out for only one thing: its mother. This uncaused attraction is your soul recognizing its true home. It is the cosmic homing beacon, activating within your spiritual consciousness. The divine source is drawing you back into its infinite embrace. If you are experiencing these 6 signs, the constant trials, the profound solitude, the automatic detox of your habits, the endless flow of synchronicities, the awakening of radical empathy, and that deep, uncaused pull toward the eternal, rest assured, you are wrapped in the special love of the divine source. Your life is not a series of accidents, it is a sacred training ground. Stop resisting the fires of transformation. Trust the cosmic process. Step away from the conditioning of the crowd and step boldly into the light of your true destiny. Which of these 6 signs did you resonate with the most in your life right now? Share your personal story in the comments below. Your journey might just be the exact synchronicity someone else needs to read today. Thank you for walking this sacred path with us. May deep peace, absolute clarity, and infinite alignment find you wherever you are. Stay conscious and stay blessed.